Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
How's it going, guys? Evening. Finally, a positive result for Man United and plenty of stuff to talk about on a positive front for a change. So I've got Mr. Ton in the background, but I've got Satty and Ben here to talk it through with me as well. So lots to talk about, really. Ronaldo goal, Varane's first goal, a Bruno goal in the first half, a clean sheet, a goal from a corner. Just tons to talk about. Obviously, some performances as well from a last performance from Matic, potential last performance and from Mata, but a fantastic display from him as well. So, Satty, I'll just get your reaction initially, mate, on the kind of the overall performance, and then from Ben, and then we'll kind of move into specifics. But what was your view on the game, mate?
Yeah, I think it was probably one of the most comfortable performances we've had after probably the first minute. I thought they were going to score an early goal from kickoff, but after sort of the nerves settled in, we controlled the game. It was really professional. I felt we dictated the tempo quite well. Mata was key to that. He really brought a lot of composure. He knew when to speed up the play, he knew when to slow it down and sort of regroup and recollect and start again. I thought Ronaldo had a really good performance overall, as in dropping deep for the ball, but also getting into good spaces. It was a positive performance. Just shame it's probably 5-6 games too late, unfortunately. But it's nice to finish on a win at Old Trafford, something that the fans deserved, something that they owed to the fans and owed to us in recent weeks, and got 2 more to play for now. And it'd be nice to finish on 2 more wins. So I think what was key tonight was what I liked and I enjoyed is that the experienced players like Ronaldo and Mata and Matic even stepped up importantly and showed how if you could control the game and just keep a little bit of calmness, you could just let the ball do the moving instead of overcomplicating things. I think that was important. I think it was a little bit evident as well again today that probably the fullbacks positions are the ones that we really need to work on in the summer, as well as the midfield and obviously the attacking options. Just felt like positionally they were caught out quite a bit. And in terms of defensive display, I feel like they were the only 2 that I could point out. Not massively, not in a big deal, but they're the only 2 where I could be like, yeah, they always give cause for concern. But overall, nice to finish on a win at Old Trafford, and hopefully could take some momentum into the last 2 games of the season now.
No, I totally agree. I think the manner in which we played as well was encouraging, wasn't it? I think we passed it around pretty well. I thought it was. I mean, there was something like, just looking at the passing stats there, 700 odd passes in the game, which compared to most Man United performances this season, it was an encouraging sign. And we controlled the game, didn't we, when we went 2-0 up as well? Ben, what was your kind of overall feelings of the performance?
Yeah, I thought the game was very, very good. I tried to take it in sort of isolation and not sort of have my hat on of how we've played previously. It was quite funny, really, because I was watching the game and I was looking at the stats for some of the players. And I know, obviously, he's probably spoken to the team in some capacity. But Ronaldo ran the furthest he'd ever ran today. The distance between the midfield and the back was a lot better than it's usually been. Usually it's like an absolute chasm between them, aside from the first 10 seconds where I thought they were going to score. But I thought structurally we looked a lot better. Obviously, the irony being it helps having players in their positions where they can actually flourish, like Juan Mata, who's got that bit of nous about and that experience, knows when to use the ball, when not to, when to play the simple pass and not look for the miracle one all the time. I was really, really chuffed for Elanga. I thought he's played very well in the time that he was on the pitch, because he thought he got a bit of unfair stick recently. I think obviously the full-backs are the glaring positions where that needs to be ironed out in some capacity, which is why I kind of was a bit gutted. We didn't get the chance to see Fernandes, because I've obviously watched a lot of him for the under-23s, and I thought it'd have been the perfect opportunity against Brentford and being at home, so they'd have had no pressure from being away from home to sort of maybe get some viable minutes and see how he fared in place of Tellez. But no, I thought overall we were very, very well. Bruno played well. There was no sort of histrionics from him. He was properly engaging, being what you'd expect from wearing the captain's armband. Varane was very good. Obviously pleased he got the goal. I thought the first half when we were using the ball coming out from the back was very effective and good, and not where are you thinking, Christ, they're going to score it any minute, because we just looked petrified to use the ball. And yeah, I thought overall it was at least something to give back for what we've had to put up with recently. And even though people will look at it as from the negatives of, oh, well, they should have been doing this ages ago. They should have been, yes, we acknowledge that, but at least they did it. And if they can finish with 3 wins, obviously 5th is probably the best we're going to get, but at least it's that, and it's positives moving into the summer for the manager.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the sort of encouraging thing from it all, isn't it? There was some. I mean, has it been a bit of an audition for some players? I'm not sure really, but I think regardless of that, it was positive, wasn't it? There was some positives to take from it. And I think even so, we'll go on to the sort of the threats of protests on the 73rd minute. But they seem to be sort of quelled a little bit when obviously we were playing so well, and obviously the fans wanted to stay and watch us playing so well. Mr. Tom, what was your kind of views of it all in terms of the performance and some of the positives from it?
Positives. If I'm honest, I've said it before on the channel. This group of players, this current squad, when there's no pressure, they perform. There's nothing to play for, they perform. And that's what you saw tonight, basically. It was just literally that. There's no pressure on them for anything. And they went out and performed. And I also stated before, and I've said it with me and my mates before privately, we never understood why we went and got Bruno when we had a matter. We never, and you saw evidence today. Yes, Bruno came in and done well, but sometimes, and I've preached this a lot to people, when it's better to have midfielders that are fluid and they make the team flow than individual midfielders. Do you know what I mean? Because then what happens is you saw how Matter linked up play today. You saw it. When you have a combination of midfields like that, that's what happens. I don't know if anyone, I don't want to go too deep into it, but there's a thing I watched today, Coach's Voices, when and I was listening to a space Coach's Voices as well, and they was talking about midfielders like Thiago, like the Modric, these sort of midfielders that they decide how the tempo goes for their team. And sometimes it's very crucial in this era. You need players like that, man. And obviously it's the end of Matter's time, but it was a performance like what could have been. What could have, imagine if we actually integrated him into the team, because we got him from Chelsea. I think if I'm correct, the season before he was at one of probably top 2, top 3 best 10s in the world, and we got him and played him on the right wing. For how many years? We played him on the right wing.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, for me, I've always been a big fan of his, because I'm just a big fan of that style of football, like kind of interchanging midfielders that can, they don't stick a position, they can float, they can shift around to different sort of attacking sort of positions and play in the channels and play in the small spaces. And for me, I mean, you look at Modric now at Madrid, and was he 3 years older than Matter? I think, you get into your 30s, you just need to be playing fairly regularly. You don't necessarily. I don't think Matt's never been a pacey player. He's never needed legs, really, to play the game. So, for me, the fact that he's still, 33, 34, doesn't mean a thing. I think he could still play another year or 2 years at that level, and he's proven it tonight. So,
would you keep him as a squad player for at least 1 more year?
I'd play. Yeah, I think the downside being, I think, is that you need to be playing him regularly. I think he needs to be getting 20 odd games a season to really get the best out of him and keep him fresh. But Bainsy, what's your thoughts, mate? Just keep you hanging. Don't want to keep you hanging on that one. What's your thoughts?
Good. I mean, it's a bit of it's a bit annoying. We start playing well when there's nothing really to play for. Special shout out to obviously to Mata and Matic, who I thought are actually the better 2 players today. They seem to just look after the ball better. They seem to just dictate the play, the flow of the game, and then naturally what happens is you have players like Bruno and Ronaldo, Elanga, all that sort of get on that train, and they play better as well. So, we saw a different kind of midfield today. We saw one that was a bit composed. We saw one that wanted to sort of take the game by the scruff of the neck. And what happened was they picked up the rest of the team. I thought Varane and Lindelof at the back were great. Look, it's only Brentford. And my respect to them. They've done actually a really good. They beat my prediction. I thought they were going to go straight down. So for me, we've struggled against these kind of teams. We've struggled against the relegation sort of lower end part of the league, and I thought we'd have a really tough game today. But yeah, special shout out to Varane and Lindelof. I thought they actually played really well and defended really well. Delo, I'm not really impressed about, to be honest. And I'm not going to sit here and bash the guy. I'm sure he's just had an off game today. I think. I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks. But we'll touch on that later. And I just feel like that with Mata and Matic going, we're the only club really to sub off someone like Mata and bring on someone like Phil Jones. And it's just hilarious. It's just where the club is at the moment. It's just, you can only laugh. It's incredible. It really is. But look, shout
Testimonial
out to
FC.
Yeah, Testimonial FC. Like, everyone's just saying they're good boys. I do want to touch on quickly that Ronaldo at the end. I don't know if ever anyone saw it. That I just seen it on Twitter that he was looking at the cameras and he says, "I'm not finished." So he mouthed those words. So I think that really answers the point that the commentators were saying on Sky, that whether he will stay another year. I think that pretty much confirms it. So we've got him for another year, and if he's going to play like that in a really poor United team, let's not get it wrong here. It's a poor United team. Hopefully we can build on that, and he can score 20 plus goals again in the league, and 25 plus goals maybe, if we start actually building around him and create for him. But yeah, generally speaking, it was a good performance. It was just a bit too late. We needed this performance weeks ago, and it just didn't happen. But yeah, good way to finish at Old Trafford.
Yeah, you sort of did see the levels. I mean, obviously, Matic, Ronaldo have all hit levels. They've all won things. Have all, been at the top of the game. I mean, obviously, Ronaldo being, far above and beyond those players. But I mean, Matic and Mata have obviously won things as well. And you kind of felt like with the rest of the team that they were just a bit behind. I mean, Scott, I didn't think did too badly today. But if you think you get another quality midfielder in that midfield there. And suddenly we start ticking a bit more, don't we? And we start going up another gear. And I felt Scott fell a little bit behind that quality level today with them two in midfield. It just didn't seem like he matched up to be at that. And even Bruno at times was a little bit wayward with his passing. I didn't think he did too bad today. Thought he was energetic and obviously got a goal. And he was.
There's a lot of times in that game as well. Sorry, just quickly. There's a lot of time in that games where we've seen Bruno with, pretty much the last two seasons, he would get the ball, look up and smash it 60 yards. And, 6-7 times out of 10, it wouldn't reach the man. But that one time it would, and it would have got to end up scoring. And I understand, you take those percentages. But today you saw a more conservative Bruno, I'm not going to play that pass. We're going to keep the ball today. And I feel like as a whole, as a team, we kept the ball better. We played around the press. I know Brentford aren't, that great pressing team like Liverpool or City, but at least it's a start, and it feels like there's maybe this is me playing too much into this, but it feels like that Erik ten Hag has had a word with Rangnick and he said, look, I'm going to start experimenting these styles, or because today was a different kind of game from United. It was a more keep the ball, possession based. Don't play these stupid, risky passes. If it's not on, I don't want you to try it. We'll reset, go back to the back four. We'll play along the sides. We'll switch it, reset again, and we'll try and see if we can break them. So it was a different kind of style today. And I don't know whether, that's something to do with Erik ten Hag, but, who knows? I'm not a tactician.
It's a lot more measured, wasn't it? I think there wasn't as much panic in the play. And I think equally as well, we didn't... We just got the job done, didn't we? Which I don't think we can say that enough times this season where we've just gone, Brentford shouldn't be at the level Man United are at. So we go in there, we put in a solid performance, we get the goals and we move on and get 3 points. And that's what should have happened countless times this season against weaker opponents, and it hasn't happened enough. But I mean, just obviously we're touching on Matt a little bit. Mr. Ton's kind of touched on it, but Sati, what's your thoughts on Matt today? I think he deserves a kind of a 5-minute roundup on his performance. And do you think he should stay another year, or do you think he's kind of thank you, but we'll move on?
I think he is a magician. The way he glides on the pitch and the way he picks these pockets and his composure, even just some of the touches and his first time passes into the player's feet today was just incredible. And it just showed levels. And I think what you touched on there with McTominay, he showed levels today of how to just keep it simple, just to keep the ball simple. Just don't take too many touches and just let the ball do the work. And that's what Mata does. He plays to his strengths. He knows he ain't the fastest of players, but he knows that he can get the ball out of his feet quick enough in order to be in the right position to then play the next pass. In regards to keeping him another season, in my opinion, no. I think it's time that we do part ways with the likes of like Mata and Matic now. Only obviously Matic is going anyway, but the reason why I say part ways with them is that this season he could have been used and he wasn't used enough, or they didn't trust him enough to suit the demands of the league, is what I like to say. Because a lot of managers have said that about Mata in terms of his time at United, that like, yeah, he's brilliant on the ball and stuff, but in terms of the intensity and the demands of the league, sometimes he hasn't got the legs anymore, for instance. So personally, I think it's time that we do part ways with Mata. And I'll tell you who might be an option, who I actually was really impressed with today, was Christian Eriksen. And on a free, I personally think it's a no-brainer. I mean, some of his passing was exquisite, but not just that, his ball carrying as well was really good. But in regards to Mata, I think we've had our services out of him now, and I think it's best that we move on and we start building for the future. Maybe keeping someone like Mata, will it hinder sort of the likes of Hannibal and stuff like that coming in the side? That's another thing to take into consideration. So I think personally it's time to move them on and bring some fresh players in now.
I agree with that, and I'm sure you guys want to jump on this, and I'll let Ben obviously say on this one as well. But for me, I totally agree with what you're saying there, Sati. If you bring a likes of an Eriksen in, I mean, Eriksen was class today, and he, I mean, some of the deliveries and the balls he was playing today, if he's playing in a better team, it puts us United under a bit of pressure there. But obviously, there was never really any threat at that end, was there? So, although there was some probing passing, I mean, obviously Tony on his day, can hurt anybody, but I think he wasn't on his game, and I think there was only really him that could cause a bit of a threat. So, but Eriksen, wow, some of his 40-yard passing was just incredible, wasn't it today? Just great. Ben, what's your view on kind of the Mata situation? Do you agree with Sati that we should just be looking for a like for like replacement on Mata?
Yeah, for me, Mata. I mean, my mate calls players like that like the carriage connectors. You can have the glitzy train at the front that pulls everything along, but unless you've got someone that links everything together to go on that journey, it's irrelevant how good the rest of the cogs are. But I also think for me, Mata for me should be put on the board in where the manager's office is and used as an example of, we sign an exquisite player, and all the years prior to Erik ten Hag starting, we don't utilise him effectively. I mean, he's an absolutely lovely bloke. I can't say enough about him from a personal point of view. As a player, he was exquisite as well, and we sadly never utilised him to the true potential that we should have done, given he came to Chelsea from us having been their best player that season. For me, I would, as Sati said, thanks, absolutely pat on the back, all the kudos to him, and I would go and get Eriksen. I listened to an interview that Thomas Frank gave the day after they'd signed him, and he obviously spoke at length about how amazing Eriksen was, obviously what he's come through. But then he made reference to a training session that he did, and he said the 2 training sessions were like chalk and cheese, because the players understood what somebody of that ability in that position can do for the team, and how it just allowed other players to be so involved in the game, which they weren't before, because you had somebody who kept it simple, but kept it ticking over, kept it moving. That's why Scholesy and Keno got on so well as a pair, because Keno knew when to do the simple stuff, and simple stuff effectively, which is just as important as when you saw Scholesy pinging them the whole length of the ground. And that's what Eriksen does. Like today, they could have scored it after 10 seconds. And I've watched a lot of their games this season that they've shown of him. And to me, there's no negatives with him. He's not going to demand a contract like what Sanchez was on. He's just glad to be playing football, let alone be alive. He had such quality to the squad. I mean, look what Fergie did when he brought Henrik Larsson in. Everyone laughed at him for bringing him in. And Fergie gave a eulogy about him when he left because of how professional he was, how much he brought to the team, how much he helped the youngsters, how much quality he added in the games he played. There was no negatives to him. And he was always there, happy to come on, happy to play his part. He wasn't demanding, I need to play every single game. He was just happy to be part of the team, playing for a club of our size. And I think also with Eriksen as well, he's probably the only player on the planet now where you'd get him and he wouldn't maybe be how he maybe would have been if he never had what happened to him in terms of that, being that demanding in terms of what he wants from a club to play and all that. Because obviously he's gone through what he's been through. His whole outlook on life is completely different now, isn't it? So you go and approach him and say, look, we want you to play X amount of games as a squad player, but you'll have massive impact because of all the other stuff you can bring. It's a no-brainer to me because we've got nobody like him, have we? We've had nobody like Eriksen at our club since Fergie left because Mata has the attributes of Eriksen, but he hasn't got the build of Eriksen. Eriksen's a lot more athletic. He covers the ground a lot better than Mata does. He's got all the things that you'd want Mata to have, but sadly Mata could never bring to the party outside of all of the technical ability he had. And he saves you a fortune, doesn't he? He saves you an absolute fortune because you don't have to go and spend 40 million on a squad player when you've got someone who's free, knows the Premier League's proven. He's proved it this season that he can hack the demands, which was a big thing that everyone was asking of him when he came to Brentford. Will he be able to hack it with everything he's been through? Well, he's done that in abundance for me.
No, I agree. I thought he was class at Spurs. I thought, and there was a couple of times where we were linked to him in summer transfer windows, and it never really happened. But he's still showing that he's got class.
Well, Conte himself, hasn't he, has said that his biggest regret was he didn't use him properly in Inter.
Yeah. Mr. Tom, what's your views on the Mata situation? But equally, I suppose Eriksen as well, kind of feeding into that topic because he was good tonight, wasn't he? I think obviously there was a point where there's only so much he could do with the team that he was in. But is that somebody that we could get in to replace a Mata, or have you got your eyes on somebody else?
If I was actually if I had someone I could go for and I could afford them, it would definitely be De Jong from Barca because he is basically a more versatile sort of Eriksen, if that makes sense. Similar mode, those sort of players. Those like what you said earlier, Ben. Those sort of midfielders, or some people call them register players, intricate midfielders. That's what you need to make a team tick. They're artists. Do you know what I mean? They make the team flow. You need those sort of players. But I would definitely get him on a free. But I wouldn't be surprised if something happens because the whole time he was training and recovering, it was at Ajax. So, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if that's that he comes in to fill in the number. Because don't forget, I think people forget next season is 5 subs. 5, not 3, 5. So you could change a game with basically half of the squad on the pitch. So it wouldn't surprise me.
And look how many midfielders we're losing.
Exactly. That's the biggest part. We're losing a lot of midfielders.
The thing for me, sorry, Bainsy, the thing for me that it would also illustrate and show is for the first time in 9 years, we've actually been smart and shrewd in the market in seeing someone we don't have to go and make it a social media frenzy because we've gone and spent stupid money on him. It's under the radar, what Fergie always used to do with these squad players, and everyone chimps them, think, Fergie's losing a plot bringing him in, like they did with Larsson, and look at the value he added. And they're the smart deals that, like Klopp's been doing recently, as much as people hate to admit it, with Diaz. Obviously, he's not going to cost 40 million, Eriksen, but they're the sort of deals that we need to be doing. Because you do deals like that, and it allows you to catch up so much quicker because you're not wasting all your budget going on buying somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, well, maybe I'll come on to you, mate, but
Yeah.
I agree with the guys really on the kind of. I think we've got to be a bit careful with these big name signings and the money that's floating around in football as well. But what's your views on the matter and equally Eriksen situation, I suppose?
Yeah, if he's a free, then there's no risk really, is there? Because he's not, he doesn't strike me as the player that's going to go to Man United and go, yeah, I want 400 grand a week, or I want 250 grand. He's just not that kind of player, is he? So, yeah, if he's on a free, like Ben said, the value you get, he'll sit down with the younger academy lads. He'll bring a lot more than you think behind the scenes. My only issue is with the whole, Mata, Matic. We had Jones come on for a bit. These players, I don't think we'll miss them. This is my thing. I don't think we're going to miss them as much as we all say. I know obviously Mata had a tremendous game today, and I know Matic did as well. But I do feel like there is quality out there that you can bring in, and maybe I'm thinking maybe again too much into it, but this is why we bought Donny van der Beek, and he was this kind of player that did what Mata did at Ajax. He was the link between the defense and the attack, and I don't know, something's happened to him, in the Premier League, and he hasn't really kicked off at Everton either. So yeah, it's if he's a free, then why not? Just go for it. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. You can go and sell him on in January or in the next summer. You don't give him don't give him a massive contract when no one else is going to freaking sign him again. So that's the only worry with everyone else. There's so many players that are going to leave in the summer, and it is for the good. I'm sad to see Mata leave. He's given me some great memories, especially the 2 goals at Anfield. Mate, the amount of shit I gave Liverpool fans when he scored those 2 goals at Anfield, he's just given me great memories, and I really do. I love him for that. And the same with Matic, he's been great for us. But again, these are players that are getting to the end of their career. We shouldn't be rewarding with the contracts. Cavani the same, Phil Jones the same. There's 4 players there straight away that are gone. We got Lingard, Pogba's obviously definitely going. There's 6. And there could be a few others like Bailly, maybe. I don't know why, he's not playing, probably injured. In this summer, there's going to be so many players. I think genuinely, Matic is going to be the least of our worries. And bringing in someone like Eriksen, it's very uncommon that a team goes out and buys 6 or 7 new players in a window, and Eriksen could be a stopgap. Which might be quite important for us, especially in this sort of transition period. Eriksen could be that player that comes in. He knows the league. He knows most of the players. He knows how ferocious it really can be, and we can rely on him in maybe the cup competitions or rotational games that we may have. So yeah, I'm all for it. If he's a free, then why not? Let's jump on board and get him in.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Yeah, well, we've got to buy smart, haven't we? I think that's the ultimate key. As much as I agree with the guys out there, like the De Jong signing would be a brilliant signing, mainly because of his age. Plus, he's very similar.
Is he leaving? Is he not signing another contract with Barcelona?
I don't think it's worked, has it? From what I'm hearing, it's just not really worked out, has it?
The problem is with that. It's not that. It's not a signing that is impossible. That's what I've said before on the show. Because the reason why it's not impossible, Barca want to rebuild, and you have to remember he wasn't a Xavi signing. That's one. And then the whole year, his dad and him have come out with comments such as, "It's not up to me. It's up to the club." The club. Even his dad said it. Like, it's all down to the. Obviously, they understand Barca's situation in terms of if they want to rebuild a squad, they need money from somewhere. That's the problem.
I think what's important with that, with what you said there as well, it's going to be interesting to see the influence of Ten Hag, because there's a lot of players that actually love his system, and love the way he plays and how his philosophy is. So the likes of the Eriksens and the De Jongs, they know what, and even down to Donny van der Beek, they know what system he implements, and they're going to be the crucial players in order to get everyone else ticking, I believe. So I think that he's going to hold some influence on these players as well in terms of attracting for Manchester United going forward.
The only
for me-
team, the only team that could sweep in is City because
Oh,
they
yeah.
they asked basically for De Jong in the swap deal for Torres in the January window, and Barca said no, they want cash for him, and then Pep is a big admirer of him, so that's the only thing that. And two reporters
Fernandinho's
even come
leaving,
out and said it. Yeah, two reporters even come out and already said it that City Pep really does like him. That's the only thing that I would say.
We've had 2 quotes from Ranić just come out now, and he said one of them was other clubs only needed 2 or 3 transfer windows to challenge, but from now on, we need to bring in top quality players who really help to raise the level. If this happens, then I don't think it should take too long. And then Fabrizio Morano, fucking hell, I've butchered that name. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted saying, obviously, Ranić says, it's obviously quite a few players will leave and there is a need for top quality players. I strongly believe that if everyone works together upstairs, we can bring Man United back to where we need to be much quicker. So, I mean, there's just that sign there. This summer, I hope, honestly, all this talk about, Ranić, what he wants to do and how he's helped with the Erik ten Hag appointment and what he wants to do, I really hope that they can put this into fruition. They've changed a lot upstairs already. We've seen so many of all the top scouts, everyone coming out.
Ruthlessness, finally.
It is, yeah, and it's about time they did it. So let's see how many players they get.
The thing for me
is, did you have something to say? Sorry, Ben. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say the thing for me, which I think a lot, and I was chatting with a friend of mine about this. The last game I went to was people are banding around that say 10 players are going to leave. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to sign 10 players. If you sign 5 players that can do a better job than 10 players collectively, then you've worked smarter, not harder.
Yeah, 5 starting players. That's what you need.
That's what I mean. So if like Mr. T said, if you go and sign Frankie De Jong, but then you also snare Christian Eriksen for free, think how that looks, not just to the club and the fans, but to your opposition. Bloody hell, United have gone and signed De Jong for X amount and have also snared Eriksen for fuck all. Both players who do the exact same job. One's going to be there for the long term. One's going to be there as a great stopgap for the first person to learn off and work with. That's smart business. For me, because you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. You've got a long-term target and you've got a short-term target who both don't strike me as players who are going to be Sanchez's demands. I want £500,000 a week in front of a piano to announce me with.
Shambles, that was.
It's true though, isn't it? I think equally as well. I mean, just looking at the obviously a big clean sheet for us today as well, which is not something we've been able to sort of speak about too much of. So I think I saw a comment earlier on from somebody in the chat there saying, and you do see. I mean, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon for kicking Maguire in the ribs again. I think if equally it's going to support him, to be quite honest. That you see him in the England team when he's got a good quality midfield in front of him who control the game and control the ball, he comes into his own. Did we see that a little bit today with Varane and Lindelof, where we got control of the game? Yeah, I know it's Brentford, but we still controlled the game. And to be fair, we struggled in the first game against Brentford, if you recall. Yeah. We dominated the game today and we looked loads better. Do you think the centre-half positions are something that we definitely need to look at in terms of our first targets? I mean, for me, it's the fullback areas and the centre midfielder areas really that are more key.
I think the thing with Maguire is he's, without trying to kill him, the reason for me because of how he's looked so bad, because you've had like
Sniper.
a gap the size of the UK between him and the midfield.
Yeah.
So he's then got the ball and thought, Christ, look how far, I can't even see my players are that far away. I've got to run into that space. And then by the time he's got to that space, the rest of the centre-back's like, where the fuck's he going? He's then lost the ball. And then it's like spaghetti junction where we're all trying to get back in line. Whereas if you've got and by having that defence closer to him or midfield closer to him, you alleviate any deficiencies that he might have from an athletic perspective, because they won't be as glaringly obvious.
I think with Maguire, and especially today, he doesn't usually have Matic in the midfield. Now, I don't know if anyone notices what Matic does, and I think I've pointed this out a couple of times. This is just his defensive nature. He drops back in between the two centre backs, so it comes into a 3 at the back with the centre backs, and he does it so many times. And even when we're playing out from the back, he's the first one to drop in as a centre back, receive the ball, and pass forward. Now, I don't know whether that's because that's Matic. Usually, Matic isn't playing with Maguire. It's Scott and Fred. I don't know whether that might be something, but I do feel like with Matic in front of the two centre backs, we are just a lot more better defensively. Now, again,
I think just on that. Sorry, Sal, just quickly on that one. I think the difference with Matic in there is that he tends to show for the ball, doesn't he? He tends to come and get it off the centre half. So if Maguire's looking forward and he's thinking, right, who do I pass to? Matic usually comes and collects the ball off him. Yeah. We don't have a lot of midfielders who do that. And then the fullbacks are also, you're looking at Dallow and Tellers, and then they don't really want the ball either. So everyone's a little bit nervous. Whereas today, everybody's like, we're mattering there as well, who's also showing for the ball. You've got two midfielders who are kind of collecting the ball off the defenders, and then it allows everybody to kind of push up and be a little bit more confident, because if Matic comes in and gets the ball in midfield, it allows Varane and Lindelof to split and go wide. So you've got an extra option to push it wide. But it's that's what we need, more midfielders who are confident in possession in tight areas, and we just haven't had that enough, have we? Sorry, Sati, go on, mate.
I think what just to pick up on the points, what Bainesy was saying there, and yourself, was that if you actually look at all our midfielders, Matic is the only one that is a centre defensive midfielder out of all of them. He's that is his role. He is a CDM. He knows how to drop in and create space in order for the playmakers to come and collect the ball. Now, I remember probably last year and the start of this season, Fred was put in that position to do that job, where he always used to receive the ball with his back to play, and he used to be facing his own goal. And probably nearly 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, he used to lose the ball, and we used to concede possession, and we always used to be on the back foot. Maguire would play it to Fred. Fred would be looking elsewhere where to pass the ball, and we'd end up losing the possession. I think what the problem there is like what Bainesy said. When you highlight someone like Matic, who knows the discipline and the importance of, hold on a minute, if I actually drop back and make a free, I'll create space for the other players around me to come and collect the ball. And where they're technically good on the ball as well, that's what helps and makes it beneficial. So I think it's important that, to the original point of what you said about, do we need to strengthen in the centre-back position, I think all three are just as important to each other, the midfield, the full-backs and the centre-back. Because Rafa Varane, I know this is his first season in English football, his injury record is a bit worrying. That is something to point out. I think he's only completed playing 3 games a couple of times, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, this season. He hasn't done it at many occasions.
It's been all right now, though, Sal. I think he's got used to the physicality and the
he's got used to it. But just I think it's just a case of we want to still. I mean, I do like the sound. I do like the sound. I'll be looking a bit more into that Timber from Ajax, and I think his versatility could be an ideal player. It's not that he does. One, he does look good. That's a point. Secondly, he knows Haag's system really well, and that will help the others around him. And thirdly, he is versatile. He can play right back and he can play centre back. So it's almost like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and also saving some of that budget for the midfield position and for the attacking position. So I think someone like him would be a more smart addition, if you like, because he could cover both roles, almost like Fabinho. I'm not saying he's on that level, but Fabinho can play 3 positions at Liverpool if need be. He can go right back, centre back, and centre defensive midfielder, and he does it to a high quality.
Well, doesn't he?
And he does it routinely for the Netherlands.
Yeah, and he does do it for the Netherlands. Yeah, so I think something like that would be a smarter addition than maybe getting a right back, getting a centre back, getting someone like that. Someone like Timber could do both roles.
It doesn't. Go on, Miss Sam. No, sorry, mate, go on.
Now, my biggest concern, I've said this before to a lot of people on Twitter and when I'm at the barbershop or anything, is that it's the defenders for me, right? And the way, if Ten Hag wants to implement similar philosophy, similar ideas, he likes to play 50 yards from the goalie, yeah? Where currently we don't have the personnel, because even there was a whole hour sort of thing where Steve McLaren's explaining it. It's high risk, high reward football when you do that, and you need at least one of your centre backs to be really quick, rapid, because then when you always get hit, you're always going to be. Do you know what I mean? The centre back has to recover
Walker
that.
does it for City.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you always, because you want to play 50 yards from the goalie, and that's why I think in the summer, if we do want to play his sort of football, 5 signings is the right number, if that makes sense. Like one in each area, like a centre back. We were linked to the Dutch left back, a midfielder, at least 2 we're linked to, a winger and a forward. It makes sense for the first window to at least get 5, if that makes sense. Because if he wants to copy the format, what he's doing, unless he does like a Tuchel, where if anyone knows Tuchel, the way he plays football right now at Chelsea is not actually how he plays football. If you look at his time at PSG and Dortmund, that's not how he plays football, but he's making use of what he's got at the moment. So it just depends. Just see what happens. But I definitely reckon centre-back is an area that he's going to look at, and that's why we've been linked to players. And I definitely think it's a coincidence to me. Ever since Ten Hag got officially announced, all the reports on Anthony and Timber, silent. It wouldn't surprise me after the games are finished for them, they get announced, we've done some deal or something, because literally there was loads of reports before Ten Hag was officially announced, and then as soon as he got announced, any reports for Timber and any reports for Anthony just went silent. Literally.
You are, yeah, you're right about that. It's weird that actually I didn't sort of personally see that or realise that, but that's something. I think this next season we just need to, going forward, we need to tighten up on us and these leaks and this kind of yarn spinning of transfers and people coming and going and saying stuff or being out on it in a nightclub somewhere. It all just needs to cease, doesn't it? It's just absolutely rubbish. I'm going to have to wrap this one up early, guys. So I'll go around the table just on the final kind of point that we'll talk about, and that's just obviously Ronaldo, because I thought his performance again tonight was unbelievable, really. I thought he did a great number 9 performance, capped it off with a goal. I thought the goal that got chalked off was very unfortunate. And what an unbelievable goal that would have been. That little link up with Bruno and Mata on the left-hand side, then finished it off with Ronaldo first time shot into the bottom corner. It was unreal build-up. Really unfortunate. But I thought he was brilliant. And I thought his display, hands down, was the reason that there was protests as well. Stayed back on the 73rd minute. I mean, I was kind of expecting fans to start filtering out, but then I felt fair play. I think Ronaldo and the rest of the team kind of kept the fans in the ground. What did you reckon, Sati? Was that a good performance for Ronaldo? And did you agree with the protests?
First of all, on Ronaldo, I think his performance in these last 2 games have been sensational. Even against Arsenal, he was the driving force. He was the only one that looked like he still felt that we haven't lost top 4. He was the only one that had that belief, and that's down to the mentality of him. I mean, he's probably the greatest sportsman for me personally. Like coming back from such trauma as well, and coming back into a side and with high emotions as it is at the club, and just his professionalism, and he just makes everyone else around him just try and lift them up and make them play better. But I think tonight he was phenomenal, and especially his movement and his actual range of passing tonight was really good. I felt. I mean, a lot of people don't credit him enough for his passing, and I felt like he did really well, even his one-touch passing, even slowing down the game, trying to dictate the tempo. But I think personally, I'd love to see him here for another season, just to see him in a season with Ten Hag, see how it plans out. I mean, I think he even said a few weeks ago that he would accept that he wouldn't be starting every game or playing in every game. I don't know how true that is, but I know he would want to start every game. But I think he's very important to keep around the team, especially with that sort of Lombardic ethic in terms of that he will win at all costs, the sacrifices, in order for him to just demand more, and his intensity. So I think he was brilliant tonight. I think he's been brilliant in the last couple of games for us. And I will definitely be excited and hopefully that he does stay for the next season. In regards to the protests, I mean, again, everyone has their own opinion and their own rights in terms of how we should protest, and the thing is, we're all singing from the same page. In my book, we all want what's best for the club. I mean, some people choose to practice it differently. I mean, the common goal in terms of, I've said it before on the show and I've said it many times. Yeah, I do want the Glazers out. I do. And I think whatever means people feel to take in order for this to happen, we just need to keep it on a consistent basis is what I ask for, is what we should do, is make sure that it's consistent. If we do go out in the summer and we do buy the players that we all want and we recruit well, we should still keep up that movement in order for it to stay consistent throughout the season. So it does build more momentum. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, voices heard is better than no voices. I think that's one thing. But again, it needs to be done on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I think equally as well, just to agree with you on that point as well, Sati, that I think it just needs to make sure that it's done in the right kind of manner as well, in terms of it being sort of peaceful between fans, because there's a lot of fans there, families as well. Maybe not so much on sort of the midweek evening games, but on a weekend, and it just needs to be done in the right way, doesn't it? Because there's obviously a lot of fans who come a long way to watch the game as well, and obviously it's tough for them to be making that call. But I obviously get the message. We get the message, and we all feel strongly by it. So
and you're not sorry to interrupt, and you're not wrong if you want to stay in the stadium and continue watching the game, and you want to come in on the first minute. You're not wrong, because that's you supporting the team, and that's no issue with that. End of the day, you still probably have the same goal, just because you might not be actively partaking in a protest of walking out or coming in late. That doesn't mean you don't want the same goal. You just practice it differently, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
No, totally agree, mate. Totally agree. We appreciate that, Sati. Ben, what's your views on Ronaldo and kind of the subsequent protest as well, or the protests that were going on, but more so on Ronaldo, really, I suppose.
For Ronaldo, I think what's scary, which people sort of I think may lose track of, is he scored 4 less goals than Salah in what's considered the worst team since the apocalypse, and Salah's getting all the raves, which is granted, he's played very, very well.
Is it 3? Is it 4?
It's 4 Premier League goals, yeah. But I think he's if you combine European goals, he's not far behind him. But the biggest thing for me is with Ronaldo, as much as I think Salah's got tremendous ability, I don't think he'd have been doing what Ronaldo's done for us with how bad our team is.
No.
I just think with Ronaldo, I think you've got world-class players, and then you've just got the odd 1 or 2 freaks who just are even above that, who, irrespective of how shit or good the team is, will just do stuff that you just can't fathom. Like Michael Jordan with the Bulls. And I think that's Ronaldo for me. I would absolutely love him to stay next season. One, because I think it would give even more fingers to the people who call him the problem. But just to see how because I've watched a lot of Erik ten Hag's interviews, and I love the fact that he is very brash, very to the point, and he is a firm believer in himself. And I just think I think he would be perfect for Ronaldo and vice versa.
Yeah.
I just think they would work so well because they are such polar opposites in how they're viewed by the public. One's obviously quite reserved. One's, you know everything about him. And I just think he'd be brilliant. Also, with the players that he's probably going to bring in as well. If you're Frankie de Jong, for argument's sake, and you've got him at the other end of the pitch, you don't need, as much as I know Sebastian Haller has been getting rave reviews for Ajax. That's just, you can't even compare the two. As for the protests, I think irrespective of what Erik ten Hag does next season, I think you have to keep that. You have to remain heard, because if you, it's like the old adage with bullies: if you don't stand up, you've let them win. So in some way, shape, or form, you have to make a noise, just so long as obviously it's done in the correct manner. Because like you said, with the different types of fixtures, midweek or afternoon, you've got a different type of fan attending both. But I think if you let it quell, if we start off really, really well and Erik ten Hag brings in loads of players, you've almost lost everything that we've done this season. because we've had such ammunition to do it this season because of how bad we've been. You don't want it then to, because they'll just look at it and go, "Oh, look, they're just like a little, they're just like a little match." You'll see them once it sparks, but it's easily put out. You need to remain ever glowing, in the right manner, obviously.
No, I appreciate it, Ben. Mr. Ton and Bainesy, I'm struggling here with technical issues, so I'm gonna have to cut this short. So I might drop out here, so I'm probably gonna have to cut this short. But we will pick this up on another day. So I appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate it. Everybody that's commented and has listened, we appreciate it as well. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, and follow us on Twitter as well if you want.
He's gone.
I guess he's gone.
Oh no!
Peace
What
out,
a farewell.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for everyone for
Thank
tuning in.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, cheers.
Hi guys, sorry about that. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we're gonna end it short. Thanks to everybody that listened and has watched. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you in the next one, guys. So appreciate it to everybody. Thank you very much, and catch you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.